The following 5 keys can reduce your work week to half and double your bank account this year. I hate seeing contractors struggle. I've been through this with my own contracting business. There is a lot of variables. There's a lot of stuff that goes on. So I'm going to be sharing with you the 5 keys struggles that I see contractors making all the time and how you can recognize what it is so we can define it and what to do instead so that you are not being tied down and weighed down and your business is stuck, doing the day to day and just not achieving the success that you started off in the first place. So first one that we're going to be getting to is a lack of focus. So you may be stressed out, you may be struggling, and you're not sure what's going to move the needle. I need some lead gen. I can't hire the right guys. My financials are a mess. We're going to be getting to all of that, but you need to know how to focus. And that's usually the biggest number one struggle that I find, especially working with, clients early on, is usually they're not sure, where do I focus? What should I be working on? What's going to move the needle and give me the success I'm after? I was watching this video the other day on Elon Musk. Love him, hate him, whatever, but he's very effective. He runs a lot of major, large companies, billion-dollar companies. And one of the keys of his success is he's able to come into a business and very quickly figure out where is the bottleneck, where is the friction point in this business, in the production line. Is it can we not get enough of the right people? Do we not have the right system in place? Is it the marketing, the leads? Like what part of the business? And this is what you need to take an objective view. Step back in your business. Where is the bottleneck? Are you do you not have enough leads or quality leads? Is that dragging you down? Is your estimates taking like 3-4 weeks to get out to clients? Is that a bottleneck? Is maybe not having enough guys because you've got too much work? So where is the bottleneck in your company? And that's where you want to start and focus your energy and figure out, where you want to go. And then have like laser vision on that one area. So if you know me, I'm all about systematizing, building a process that you can then delegate and provide to somebody else. So instead of trying to figure out and fix all this stuff and running around every day, work on the business. I hope you know the distinction between working on the business and, working in the business. So you want to get yourself out of working in the business and work on the business. I think a lot of entrepreneurs do that. A lot of contractors do that, but your time is so limited to be working on the business usually because you got all this other stuff to do. So that's why laser focus will help you get out of that struggle. So figure out that bottleneck, and that's where you're going to focus for the next month, 2 months, the next year, whatever it takes to ease that bottleneck, get that part of your business figured out and operating. It doesn't have to be 100%, but it should be at 80-90% solid. So you can then move on to the next bottleneck. And that's how you build out an amazing business. All right, moving on to point number 2. While you're at it, if you've liked this so far, give it a thumbs up. Appreciate you for it. Number 2 is lead gen. So lead gen, even if you're super busy, it is still often a struggle for contractors because they're too busy to be doing proper lead gen. And often a lot of contractors as well, myself included, when I started out, I didn't know anything about marketing. I don't know anything about sales. I started as a subcontracting framer, luckily. So I just had to, make some key kind of relationships with some general contractors, and they fed me work essentially. And I framed houses for many years. But when I started getting residential clients and commercial clients, then, the game changed and I needed to learn how to market. I needed to learn how to sell. And this is often a big struggle for contractors because they don't have that background knowledge. You're either going to need to learn it, or what I see a lot of people doing, especially nowadays, because there's so much out there, is they go hire a marketing agency or they go hire an ads guy, Facebook, Google ads person. And they kind of still continue to struggle because as good as those people can be, there is just, for some reason, it doesn't hit the mark. And I think a lot of the times you have to look objectively at yourself and be like, you need to support, you're paying all this money to a marketing agency or putting out Facebook ads or Google ads. You need to support it and you need to ask them, what can I do to make, your life easier? Do you need me to make videos? Do you need me to, write some blog articles? Do you need me to take photos? Do you need me to get all my friends and family to go like my LinkedIn page or my Instagram page or whatever, right? So don't think that you can just delegate marketing or sales to somebody else and expect, big results. You've got to work hand in hand and both be working on it together. And it does take time. When you do hire a marketing agency, if that's the way that you're going, then make sure that you're learning from them because ideally you want to incorporate what they're doing internally into your business. Now, you may have your own views on this, and again, you're probably struggling with this. So that's why you just want to hire someone to take it off your plate. But over time, you want to realize like you can take templates, you can kind of do the same sort of posting. It's not that hard, especially with AI nowadays. It's a lot easier to do this, and you could probably hire someone internally that knows your business better than the marketing agency does and who you have better communication with because they're already on your team. So just something to think about. If you're struggling with marketing, I've got lots of other marketing and sales videos for you to go watch. So go take a look at those after this. But yeah, poor lead gen, big struggle. Some of the big things that you want to do is just essentially always be learning and realize that the game has changed. It used to be okay that you could just do word of mouth, more or less. You'd stay busy. Then it was like, okay, you need a website. 90s, 2000s, whatever. You had a website, you're kind of like gold and you'll get leads. Then it's like, that's not working anymore. So you have to start purchasing leads from, Angie's List or Trusted Pros, Home Advisor, whatever it may be. That worked for a while. Now it's, you're competing with too many people and it's just not effective. Then you've got to do social media. Now it's like AI is coming into the picture. So there's all these kind of like the marketing game keeps changing and you need to stay on top of it and just realize that the game is changing. But you want to set up a process and system that's independent of you. So email marketing is a big one. Having your website just professionally looking, having some blog articles, all these things are actually not as probably difficult as you might think, especially nowadays with the AI technologies that we have. You can feed it some inputs, you can talk to it. It's much more conversation based as far as like producing materials and content. It makes it really a lot easy, and this shouldn't be a struggle to get leads. Another problem with contractors and the struggle with lead gen or qualified leads, I find is that there's this natural tendency to always meet demand. I can remember whenever I had leads coming into my contracting business, it was like, right on. We got a big project. We got a couple of new projects. We were growing rapidly. It's like, let's hire people. Let's, take these on. Let's do more work, all this kind of stuff, hustle. And I got stressed out. I was worked out. We made no money at the end of it because it was ineffective. But I was trying to, I'd figured out the lead gen and I built up that reputation and we had lots of work coming in. And I thought, oh, I want to grow a huge business. I need to meet that demand because I want to service all these clients. So I hire people, I, have more crews, get more tools, get more stuff for the guys, get more subs, whatever. And the issue is like, you get all this demand, then you meet it with production, and now the demand falls down and you've got all this overhead and extra people. And, you're struggling again because you need those leads, you need that leads gen to continually grow. Whereas if you are throttling the production side of your business, yes, you want to grow, but you want a surplus of leads and you want it to be quite large so that you're in demand. You have a much better ability to set your pricing because, if, John and Sally Smith, say you're too expensive, you've got three other estimates, similar projects that you've got out already, and you probably got three more coming in next week or whatever, right? You know that you're good. So you don't have to bend to keep the guys busy or lower your prices or just do super big volumes. You can be more of a select builder that you get to work with good quality clients who want to pay a little extra or that have that relationship with you already so that you're building a really profitable business, even if your revenues aren't as big as what you probably could take on as a builder. So going on about this for a bit, but there's that mindset shift is really important because sometimes you feel like you're struggling, like, oh, we don't have enough leads, we don't have enough work, blah, blah, blah. And, you can get that figured out, that marketing game. It just, takes time and energy, but don't fall into the trap of always trying to meet that demand. And, and then that you continue to struggle with that no matter how big you get because you're always trying to meet demand. Making sense? All right, let's keep this moving here. So number 3, the third big struggle I see very, very common is ineffective delegation. Either not enough because you're too in control and you don't want to give up control, you don't want to give up quality, you're worried about, giving space to your employees to kind of do things without you. So that's one way that's ineffective is not delegating enough because often you've been burnt. You've left someone on a job site, they've wasted time or they've done something incorrectly. You got to come back and fix it. Or the other one is you just aren't comfortable enough. You don't haven't trained people enough, or you don't have a system to be able to delegate effectively. And this is so true for so many contractors. It's like you think that you need to hire someone, they need to work with you for a year, and you need to, they train them on the job, and then, like eventually maybe they build trust or whatever, or you need to hire someone who's very experienced in order to do a job that you want, but they're not going to have the same experience as you or do it exactly like you. So you have to build systems. I love systems. Systems will set you free. There's one thing to take away from this video. Systems will set you free. They will enable you to do so much more with your business, with your life, with everything. You need in order to delegate effectively, you need to create the system before you hire the person or before you give them the role. So, admin is pretty easy to build systems around that. Marketing, we just mentioned, having some templated type of posts, like branded post materials, and, just sending some pictures to your admin, having a little process for them to then send it out, Facebook, Instagram, whatever. Super easy. Email, same thing. You can tell your admin, please go make an email like this. You can have a system branded, ChatGPT, whatever. There's all these, like, you can set these up, take time to set up the systems, and then delegation becomes easy. And when you first delegate something, expect it not to work. This is a huge thing too. Expect mistakes, expect friction, expect the person maybe not to do what you want them to. But if you laid out like a nice SOP document or a training video or built that system for them, that's where you tweak it. That's where you have to give the coaching and the guidance. It takes more than just creating a system for it to be effective. You have to coach, you have to guide. But the more you do this, the better the system gets. And that's the beauty. And that's how it'll set you free. So, making sense? No training programs as well is like a lot of the time, especially in construction, for whatever reason. I think we're just behind the ball on this, and it's difficult. But there's a lot of like, the ticketed trades and things like that. There's training, so we feel if they went through the training, they're good, and they should have a certain amount of knowledge. But obviously, they don't have the on-site experience, and there's that disconnect. So create a training program. It's super easy. Go on YouTube, find a video about what you do, and just put it in a training document and then create an SOP and just let the person know this is base knowledge. This video, it can be someone else's video, how to frame a wall, how to run wire, how to send out marketing materials on Facebook or LinkedIn or whatever. There's tons of videos out there to do that. Just find a good one, put in your knowledge base, put it in a document. This is the knowledge that I need you to know. Watch the video. These are the big steps, and then let them have at it. Expect some mistakes, guide them through it, show them if you need to. It's really not that difficult to get some training in place. And this will do just so much because you'll stop struggling with being able to delegate, where you just have to tell someone something. It's like, go do this. And you got to tell them, and then they finish it. And it's like, then go do this. And then like, you always got to be training and telling them and this and this. You got like some materials. It's like, here, go educate yourself. Here, go learn the steps. And then, help them through it and coach them. But it just saves so much of your time. You don't have to struggle with delegating so much. Trust is another one that comes into play with delegation. And I think I covered this a little bit already, but you need to just accept that people are going to get to maybe like 80% as good as you, as far as you do it. You create the system, you know how you want it. You've got a very specific way that you do things. Someone else coming in, there's no way that they're going to do it as good as you. It's rare. When you're getting like higher level management people and you get A players on the team, you may be surprised that they actually surpass you in some ways, like after they've been doing it for a while. But when they first come in, you just have to expect that they're not going to be on the same page. You're the business owner. So it's like the value to you is just so much more to do things correctly than to like an employee who's coming in to punch the clock. Obviously they're there for more reasons than just a paycheck, hopefully. But at the end of the day, they're not going to be as invested in the business as you. So making sense? You on this so far? Let me know, what is the last task that you delegated to somebody on your team? And how did it go? I'd love to hear from you. Comment below. What's the last task you delegated on your team? If you drop a comment and let me know what task you delegated, I will I'll reply to it with a way to create, training or SOP or something like that. I'll do that specifically for you. So Drop a comment now. Number four. So moving on, number four. We got five coming in up in a bit. So make sure you stick around right to the end. The last one is a big one. We're gonna be talking about firefighting and how to get out of that, you know, um, reactive firefighting mode. But first, we're gonna talk about financial confusion. What's going on with my finances, man? There's never any money in the bank. What's going on? I don't know how to read reports. I see my QuickBooks or Zero or whatever. It's like, it looks like I'm making money. And I've got these cash flow reports. I don't know what they really mean. So, financial confusion is a big one. And the amount of knowledge and attention you need to pay to your finances is another big one because there's like, think of your business as a leaky boat and you're sailing in the dark blind. Like you know it's leaking, you can hear the water flowing, but you have no idea where these leaks are. You might have some idea it's at the back or the front or the middle or wherever, right? But you need to pull out a flashlight, get some lights on there, and figure out where these holes in your business are and plug them to know that your boat's not going to sink. And a lot of people, like, again, same thing as marketing. You don't have probably a financial or business background. You didn't go to management, financial management school or accounting or whatever, right? So myself, I've learned this over the last 20 years of running businesses and different things. And so this guy's going to come into the picture every now and then. But I've learned this over the last 20 years running businesses, and it's been a big progression. At first, you're dealing with large numbers. You've got to do bookkeeping. You think like, okay, I've got my expenses and I've got my income, but there's all this other stuff that comes into running your finances correctly. A big one is allocations through bank accounts, as well as just checking your financial reports regularly and making decisions based on financial decisions. Another, getting back to like the struggle of why you're not making money on jobs, it almost always will tie to two things: that is upriver and the cause of your problems of why you're financially confused as far as like where your money's going. The first one is your marketing and lead gen, which I mentioned earlier, of like trying to meet demand all the time, not having your prices high enough. So you just like you need to preload your company with demand of leads and marketing and like have that really solid so that you can charge high enough prices so that you don't need to worry about the money on the other end. The second part where you're probably leaking money is your estimating. And if you don't have proper job costing in place, so you know that like how much expenses per job happened, as well as like, did we lose on payment? Did we lose on finishing? Did we lose on landscaping? Like, if you don't have that level of clarity of your finances, that is something that you need to get help with. You can try to set it up yourself. You're better off just asking someone, whoever it may be, to point you in the right direction. Reach out to me. I'll be happy to help you with it. But any good like accountant or maybe another business, like larger contractor, if you know one, may be able to kind of point you in the right direction with this, or go check out some YouTube videos. I've got some on how to set up job costing. And if you want me to, if those videos aren't good, then drop a comment and I'll walk you right through it. But that is another place where you can easily lose money because you're getting to the end of the project, but you've underestimated, but you don't have the financial wherewithal to know what's happening. So those are the big ones. The last one I'm going to mention about financially confused and like where the money went is debt. It can be really attractive to take on debt as to like invest in the company, buy a trailer, buy a truck, buy a boat or a nice house. Business is good, so let's get some toys. This will get you in hot water really quick. This is how I lost all my money essentially at one point in my life, which was a really shitty situation that I would never want you to have to go through ever. But it was because I wasn't financially savvy and didn't watch my numbers, didn't realize that yes, we're growing very fast, but we're also bleeding and leaking tons of money. And it seemed like things were good until they weren't, and I'd taken on too much debt, and now I had this huge anchor on my boat, and we couldn't go anywhere, and it essentially ruined my life at the time. Which, again, I don't want you to have that happen to you. So be very careful with debt, and only use it as needed. Make sure that you're living within your means, and you're using some of that delayed gratification with business growth, because things can, if all you've known in your business is like you keep growing every year, if you start to plateau or or take a dive, like you have a bad year, recession, whatever, that's where a lot of businesses just go belly up because they haven't experienced those tough times before. You've probably experienced tough financial times, but when that's coupled with like a lot of debt and, the economy's not good, or for whatever reason people aren't, building or renovating or whatever kind of service you do, things can get really bad and you start like a bad struggle becomes into like a, death struggle essentially. So, all right, getting a little too on the gray black side here. So we're gonna lighten it up here with firefighting. um, and I'm sure you deal with this all the time. Project manager calls you, site guys call you, marketing guy, sales guy, admin, whoever. Something happened. This happened. Clients, big firefighting. You got to jump to the gun on firefighting for clients because you want to solve all the problems, make sure they have good experience, all this stuff. And when you get into this situation, you become reactive. And there's a key mindset that you should be aware of, and you need to take your ego out of the firefighting. It can feel good to be the go-to expert, and it's like, yeah, I can take care of that problem, or this is what you should be doing, and like, kind of telling everybody what to do or how to solve the problem. You're a problem solver, myself included. Like when I see a problem, I just want to jump in and like, yeah, let's just take it on. Let's get it done. This is what we should do. Let's figure it out, right? Sometimes what you need to do is like clue, like, why is this happening in the first place? Like, let's take a step back, take a breath. What's actually going on here? Why am I getting a call every day from my site guy asking me about how to do something that he should know how to do? Or we could easily create a training program or some other method, right? And a good like habit to get into for firefighting is if someone brings you their problem, and it should be like it's your problem because you're the owner of the business, but it's their problem to deal with. Ask them like, please, before you call me to get help, take a second and clarify what is the real problem here, so you can articulate it to me, clearly, and then figure out at least two or three different solutions of how we could mitigate this problem, and then give me your number one suggestion of the one that you think is best. Usually, if you ask this, if they actually take the time to do this exercise, they'll figure out that that suggestion that they think is the best is actually they should just do it, and they probably don't need to bother you on it. So that's an easy way to kind of take away a lot of like fires early on, is build that trust, enable delegation, be the leader, and let your people know that they can handle these. If it's something big, of course, come to you, but at least they've thought it through. And again, they have some suggestions, because as you grow, you're going to struggle more with this and you're going to be farther away from the field. The guys who are on the field, your project manager, your foreman, your site guys, they are going to know the problem and they're going to understand what's going on because they can see it, they're dealing with it, and they have the daily experience. So you're going to get farther and farther removed as you grow in your business, as you have, more management team or whatever. So they're actually usually best able to solve those problems and fight those fires before it ever gets to you. So making sense? Another good exercise for like project managers or foremen is give them an allowance that they are able to solve problems if it costs a certain amount of money or takes a certain amount of hours. So let's say a change order situation comes up on site where something's kind of outside the scope. You can let them know if it takes like one of our guys like less than half an hour or an hour or less, and as long as this isn't happening like multiple times per week, just ask them to fix it, document it in your daily log or daily report, but just go ahead and fix it. We won't worry about it. We'll let the client know that we did them a solid by, fixing this, even though it wasn't in our scope of work. So have some sort of policy like that, as well as like, if something costs less than $50, just go pick it up. Like, you don't want you guys running back and forth from site, but like when they do their material round, or if you've got a gopher guy that comes and delivers materials, just let them know, like, if something's less than a certain dollar amount, just fix it, just take care of it. Same with your admin team. If you need to purchase an app and it's less than like $10-20 a month, and it's going to save you an hour of time every month or two, just get the app and let me know about it. So maybe I want to utilize it too. But, just give them that freedom to like take care of problems, spend a little bit of money. Of course, anything above that threshold, then they need to ask you or get, approval from somebody else or what have you. But that should eliminate like a lot of those fires early on, just with those few things that I mentioned. Quality control is another one. So build the system again. Build a system that takes care of these fires like upstream, right? The reason that we don't have a lot of fires nowadays is because we have sprinkler systems, we have building codes, we have flame fire blocking, in buildings and firewalls and this fire safety doors and fire alarms and all this stuff, right? So what can you do in your business upstream, before the fire starts, before they have to come and ask you for the problem? What is the root cause? What can you put in place? Usually it's a system or a checklist or something, not even like overly complicated, that you can get in place that eliminate a lot of that firefighting for you. Another thing with firefighting, kind of one of the last things that I'm going to mention here, is you may have a time management problem and you may be scattered and overwhelmed. If you're feeling overwhelmed, you're feeling scattered, you're feeling like you're doing a million and one things every day, go back through the list that I just mentioned and like start building those systems and processes and everything like I said. But take a step back and think, like, the big ones for me are schedule. So are you using something like a Google Calendar, iCalendar? Keep appointments in your schedule, block time in your schedule, create like an ideal work day for yourself. Like if you work good in the morning, block out 2 hours. Maybe you got to like communicate with your guys between, 8 and 9 to get everything set up, or there's usually like a couple things that need to get mentioned. Then from like 9 to 11 or 9 to 12 every day, or a couple times a day, just block that time for like focus work, grab your cup of coffee, whatever you need to do, turn off the notifications on your phone and just get down and just build your business. Take care of the paperwork, whatever it needs to do. Start getting in control of your schedule. If there are fires, you can set a time for that. Maybe between 4 and 5 every day. It's like, let's finish off this day strong. You can go through your emails or whatever, but I mean, your admin can take care of your emails. So there's so many options for you to get support, to get help, to create these systems that you should not be struggling in your contracting business. So I hope this has helped you here. If you are struggling and you just can't get a hold of this, or you want more additional information, drop some comments below and go check out my other videos. They will help you get a hold of this. Here's the best for you. Here's to your success. I'll see you on the next video.